So when Alan gets back, ready to go. Get focused. We're going to get started as soon as we come in. Thank you.
You just can't be in the aisle, sir. You can't be in the aisle. No.
Good to see you. Sorry, you gotta go through this.
Just a few more minutes, please.
10 minutes, so we're gonna stand down. We're gonna wait for him to come. This is really important this morning for us, so, if you're standing
Okay, so
by.
they're waiting for Governor Northam to come. He's gonna come to this news conference.
He figures he's about 10 minutes out. Sorry about that.
That's right. The police chief and other officials here said they want to focus on the victims and their situation rather than the shooter and drawing attention to him. You're seeing that more and more often these days in instances of mass shootings where the shooter's name is maybe mentioned a couple of times, but the officials often play that down because they of course don't want to give attention to the shooter, which on occasion he or she might be seeking. So yes, the police chief is very clear about that. He was emotional when he spoke about that. But it remains, Victor, that we still need information about this man. We need information about his possible motive. We need information about whether he was previously known to police in any way. We are getting indications that he may not have been. The only thing we know about possible past infractions was a minor traffic violation at this point. That's what we know about him at this point. But to keep his name completely out of the mix as far as media coverage, that's a debate that's ongoing among members of the media and among law enforcement authorities throughout the country. But the fact remains this morning that at least in this instance, we do need more information about this man, about possible conflicts that he might have had at his work that might have spurred him to do what he did. We weren't able to reach his parents last night. Our colleague David Shortell reached his parents briefly on the phone, and at the time David reached them, they said that they did not know that their son was involved in the shooting. And they told him that they did not know of any possible conflicts that he might have had at his work. Now, how deep their knowledge is of his situation, we may be able to piece that together. But the key unanswered question right now is specific motive. Another key unanswered question is, was there a specific target, Victor?
Oh, really? Well, you think, why do you think?
Exactly. I mean, he came in here with a .45 caliber handgun with extended magazines and a silencer equipped with it, and a rifle. This man, from every indication we're getting, came in here prepared to engage with police, possibly, and certainly prepared to inflict mass carnage. They obviously horrifically did that, but the police officer's response is being widely praised this morning and last night. They got in here quickly. The police station, the main police station here in Virginia Beach, is just a couple of doors down from where the shooting occurred, so they were able to get here quickly, and 4 officers went into the building. Now, you're outside the building, we've been outside this building. It's not a really small, it's not a small building. It's got 3 floors, it's fairly extensive, and it's a fairly large building. They were able to find out quickly where the gunfire was coming from and get to it. The police chief did say that this was a long and fairly drawn-out gun battle. And from scanner traffic, from recordings that we listened to, we did find out from at least one of the officers.
They're doing a live shot. They're doing a live shot right there.
tried to
Sorry.
barricade himself at one point. So we do know some of that detail. Clearly, a very, very dramatic, horrific shootout. And the police did sustain an injury. One of their officers was wounded. And we're told that what saved his life was the fact that he was wearing a bulletproof vest. So again, maybe some more details coming out about the gunman's weapons, his methods, and his motive.
Well, don't do it. I won't be back until Monday. I'll check on Monday, but I wouldn't go ahead and do it. I'll look into it. I'm at the press conference now. Shit. So when I get back in the car,
Hey, morning, Richard. How are you? How's your mother? How's your mom? Okay, cool. Good news. Listen, I'm trickling filing a few pictures I shot earlier, but now I'm at the press conference. I don't know if you got anything into my channel yet. Okay, cool. Good. Excellent. And I've sent you a draft of a caption for the press conference, but we just learned that it's not going to be, I mean, there'll be the chief of police, but there's also going to be the governor of Virginia, whose name is Rolf Northam, yeah. All right? So I guess one's going to be on a uniform and the other one's going to wear a tag. So. Okay, cool. Great. So yeah, I'll be fighting from camera, but the network here is a bit saturated by all the live cameras and stuff. So, yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. First, I just wanted to switch. Is it okay now? Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check 1 2.
Some guy started coming at me the same way, you know, like shooting his front. I'm trying to
Mic check 1 2. Mic check.
turn my camera to the side. I just turn my camera to the side and I just give him a hug. I say, hey man, I don't know you. Are you serious? I meant it. I meant it. Started trying. He was coming at me because he lost control. And he was giving me control of the tumbling. I was looking for something. And then he gave me but he was
Okay. How does this work with this one? Good morning. My name is Dave Hanson. I'm the city manager of Virginia Beach, and I appreciate being joined by all the media that have traveled far and wide to support us. I also want to acknowledge all my elected officials that are here with me up front, and as we share information with you today. 16 hours ago, the lives of 12 people were cut short by a senseless, incomprehensible act of violence. Overnight, our chaplains, our human services, and our family assistance staff and teams completed the most difficult task anyone will ever have to do, and that is notifying the next of kin. So today, we all grieve. This morning, I have the responsibility to inform friends, co-workers, and the public of those who lost their lives yesterday. All but one of the 12 victims were employees of the city of Virginia Beach. I have worked with most of them for many years. We want you to know who they were, so in the days and weeks to come, you will learn what they meant to all of us, to their families, to their friends, and to their coworkers. They leave a void that we will never be able to fill. Lakita C. Brown, who works in public works for over 4.5 years and is a right-of-way agent. And she is a resident of Chesapeake, Virginia. Tara Welch Gallagher, who works in public works for over 6 years and serves as an engineer and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Mary Louise Gale, who has worked in public works for over 24 years and serves as a right-of-way agent and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Alexander Mikhail Gusev, who has worked for over 9 years in public works and is a right-of-way agent and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Catherine A. Nixon, who serves in public utilities for over 10 years as an engineer and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Richard H. Nettleton. Rich worked in public utilities for over 28 years, served as an engineer, served with me as a lieutenant in Germany in the 130th Engineer Brigade, and was a resident of Norfolk. Christopher Kelly Rapp, who served in public works for just 11 months as an engineer and is a citizen of Powhatan. Ryan Keith Cox, who served in public utilities for over 12.5 years and is an account clerk and a resident of Virginia Beach. Joshua A. Hardy, who served in public utilities for 4.5 years as an engineering technician and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Michelle Missy Langer, who served in public utilities for 12 years as an administrative assistant and is a resident of Virginia Beach. Robert Bobby Williams, who served in public utilities for over 41 years as a special projects coordinator and is a resident of Chesapeake. Herbert Burt Snelling, who was a contractor trying to fill a permit and is a resident of Virginia Beach. So as we stop here and take a pause, I'm going to ask my chief of police to come forth and talk about that 13th person. Chief.
As an update to where we are on the investigative process, first of all, our investigators, our detectives, our forensic technicians worked through the entire night in processing our scene and with dignity and respect in removing all of the victims in this particular case. The medical examiner's office now will take over their part of the investigation, and that should take the next 48 hours while they work through it. They are bringing in additional resources from Richmond. During the investigative process, we were assisted by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They had 40 members of their investigative forensic task force from Quantico and other places throughout Virginia assist us in this particular case. This is a large-scale crime scene. It's a horrific crime scene, and please understand it takes not only a physical, emotional, and psychological toll on everyone who spent the night inside that particular building. ATF is also assisting us. We did recover additional weapons at the scene. I'm not at liberty to tell what those weapons are at this time. We also recovered additional weapons at the suspect's home. The suspect, and this will be the only time we will announce his name, is Dwayne Craddock. He was an engineer with Public Utilities. He was employed with that department for approximately 15 years. The suspect's family has also been notified. Victims, employees, any witnesses who wish to give additional information, there's a phone line set up by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, 1-800-CALL, C-A-L-L, FBI, 1-800-225-5324. We also have a large-scale number of counselors available for the city employees all city employees who are touched by this event, as well as citizens and family members who may also be affected by this particular event. We were able to review some film last night, review some film of the officers who responded into the building. The officers checked every room, on every floor, every closet, under every desk, and they escorted a large number of city employees out of the building. And remember, they're escorting them out of the building while the victims were still in the building. I want you to know those officers worked with compassion, they worked with caring, they worked with professionalism in assisting our brothers and sisters who work for our city.
Thanks, Chief. We are very thankful for the outpouring of support received from the people in the community, the region, and across the country. We're especially grateful for the assistance that we are receiving from our sister cities here in Hampton Roads, from our state agencies, and from federal offices. The desire to help is strong, and we appreciate it more than you can say. We have posted on our VB.gov website an opportunity for those that wish to volunteer to sign up, and because we've had an outpouring of volunteers to serve as chaplains, to bring comfort dogs, to provide supplies, and now we have an outpouring of those that wish to donate to the families that are going to be in turmoil for quite some time. We are now working towards employee. We will put our attention for the remainder of today to assign family liaison officers to support those families that have been stricken by this horrible event. We are going to wrap our arms around those that serve with us here in Virginia Beach, and we are going to make sure that their families, their loved ones are taken care of and are supported, and that we guide them through the days and weeks ahead. And at the same time, as the chief said, we have a significant number of employees that have been mentally and physically affected by what they went through yesterday, and the vision and the images that they had to experience inside one of our major office buildings here in the Municipal Center. I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want to thank all my elected officials for standing strong with us, and we are prepared to answer your questions.
Chief Cervera, is there anything you can tell us about a possible
Chief.
motive this morning?
Possible motive of the suspect? No, sir, I can't at this particular time. Again, we are doing an in-depth investigation pre-incident as well as the incident.
Chief, have the suspect threatened employees in the past?
I'm not at liberty to give that information again because that's part of the investigative process that we are in.
Chief, can you tell us his employment status, or at least how the shooter gained access to the premises?
He was still employed. He had a security pass like all employees had, and he was authorized to enter the building.
And please keep in mind, we live in a free, open society. Citizens enter that building at all times. Citizens enter all government buildings, except for schools and courts where there's a different level of security.
Chief, do you get any indication that he had a specific person that he wanted to target, or person or persons?
I do not have that at this time. Again, as we go further into the investigation, we may have additional information on that. Whether it's an individual or not, we do have a large-scale number of victims that were killed by the suspect.
Chief, can you comment on all of the victims? Were most of them concentrated to one office, perhaps the office he worked in? I know that you said yesterday that there were victims found on all 3 floors. Were a majority or a group of them found in one place?
Victims were throughout the building except for the basement. So no, sir, it wasn't just one particular area. It could be that's what he was looking for, but once he engaged in this activity, it just continued throughout the building.
Was there anyone killed in the office he worked in?
I do not have the specific information on that right now.
And did the shooter say anything, according to your officers who were there, did he say anything at all that they heard while the shots were being fired or before he was hit by police?
No, they didn't have any engagement with him verbally. Once they identified him, he identified them, he immediately opened fire. We immediately returned the fire. And again, I want everyone to know that this was a long-term, lack of any other term, running gun battle with this individual. This was not what is traditionally a police-involved shooting. This was a long-term, large gunfight.
Where employees work come Monday?
I'm sorry?
Where will the city employees work come Monday mornings?
We are working through that. Building 2 will be closed. We are going to have to relocate some of our major services that public utilities provided. They, of course, oversee our city services, and so we've got to reestablish some financial connectivity for bill paying, et cetera. We're in the process with the IT department relocating, but that building is going to take a little bit of time to reopen. We are looking at what level of service the government will provide to our citizens on Monday, and we'll be making those announcements today and tomorrow, so stay informed.
Are there any incidents on the suspect personnel file over the past 15 years that jump out at you?
I'm not going to comment on HR-related issue at this time.
Record?
I'm sorry?
Do y'all know of any prior criminal record with him?
I'm not going to make a comment on that right now.
Military, active military.
I'm not going to make that comment
How
at this time.
secure was the building?
How secure was the building? Yeah, go ahead.
It's an open government building. Citizens have the right to access open government buildings. Employees have a right to access their work site. It's an open government building.
Are there any plans?
I'm going to follow up on that to say that the entry corridors and the service, the public service desks for those infrastructure departments are served by administrative assistants that work with the public, but all the accesses to the inner offices and conference rooms are secured and require this pass. And as I've told you, he was in possession of a pass.
You both mentioned that public access to this building is important, but considering this gut punch of an attack, might you reassess security of this building?
Of course, we will do an after-action review and take appropriate actions should we determine that is a requirement.
I just want to follow up on the trauma, obviously, everyone is experiencing right now. What plan is there for assistance psychologically to all of the witnesses, victims, and other employees?
We have numerous agencies that provide both family assistance and employee assistance. We have an outpouring of support from our sister cities, from state agencies, from national nonprofit organizations that do this. We are bringing them to bear. We have just informed the families. You can imagine what they're going through. We are going to assign honor guard officers and from both our police department and our fire department as family liaison officers so that they feel secure. They will be supported and assisted. And as I said, we're going to wrap our arms around our employees and their families, and we are going to remain vigilant as well as committed to recovering from this incident.
Can you please talk about the other victims? How many are still hospitalized? How are they coming along?
Well, right now we're tracking 4 that are seriously injured. And I appreciate you asking that question. And a lot of us have said a lot of prayers that we're able to pull them through. And so they are at both Virginia Beach and Norfolk hospitals at this time.
Can you tell us male, female employees, if there were employees?
No, I'm not going to relate patient data at this point.
Was there anything in his personnel file, I know you didn't want to discuss his personnel file, was there any indication that there was some kind of a change of his work status that might have been a factor here? Meaning, was he told he would be terminated? Was he told that he was being disciplined for something?
I'm not going to make comment on that, sir.
You've highlighted the fast response by police, which likely saved lives. How long, though, was this gun battle?
It was, I cannot tell you how many minutes, I can't tell you how many seconds. In police work, a long gun battle means multiple shots were being fired by the suspect. So this wasn't a one-shot incident. Also, yesterday, the question was asked about training. And as recent as March 30th, we had a large-scale training event which incorporated not only police, but our colleagues in fire, in EMS, and Sheriff's Department to be able to respond to a large-scale event such as this. So that was only a few weeks prior to this particular incident. But I do want you to know that while we train extensively, while we go over all of our protocols extensively, once you enter an environment such as this, everything changes. Things change at a moment's notice, such as the gun battle with the suspect. So we did train as recent as March 30th, but officers had to make instantaneous decisions at that moment in time on how to engage the suspect. They did it miraculously because you're right, they did save other lives.
And forgive me, you say minutes.
I'm sorry.
Officer, how is he doing right now?
He's doing well. He was observed last night. We did take him to medical assistance. He's okay. And again, it's the fact that he has a bulletproof vest which saved his life.
What information has he given you that you might be able to share with us?
I
about how this unfolded?
cannot share information that officer gave. I do want you to know, remember that when we have a situation such as this and we begin to debrief our officers, there's numerous investigations that go simultaneously, one of which is a criminal investigation because they did use deadly force. And then we also have administrative investigations, but we also have to keep in mind that there's a time period in which we want our officers to be able to not instantaneously have to give a decision. This is the most emotional event anyone can ever go through, and that's why we look out for the safety and welfare of our officers.
And Chief, forgive me, you mentioned minutes. Are we speaking more or less than 30 minutes?
Less than 30 minutes, yes, sir.
How quickly did officers get there?
I'm sorry?
How quickly did officers arrive?
Within, from the first call that went out from Building 2, within minutes they were in that building.
You can't say how many minutes?
I don't have that exact data with me, but 2 of the individuals were supervisors from our building, which is right across the street from Building 2. They immediately mobilized, and 2 of our K-9 officers were with them, so they were in that building within minutes of the first call.
And Chief, you're shouldering all of this. How are you doing?
I'm fine. We have a lot of support from our city. My main concern is our city workforce. My main concern, making sure that our manager's given all the information he needs to proceed forward. We do have a large city. We will open up on Monday, and even though we will grieve as a city, we will continue to move forward. And the other thing is I want to make sure that all of our officers, our firefighters, and EMS personnel that were at that scene are taken care of at this moment.
Just to talk about
Excuse me, we're going to take one more question, and then we will anticipate another briefing later this afternoon. One more question, please.
You just mentioned the 2 officers who, I'm assuming, knowing this complex, ran from the building. Is that accurate? Ran from the police headquarters? Just talk about the proximity of the police department with what you said yesterday, around 400 workers in that building. How did the proximity of the police department to Building 2 help you guys out?
Well, it's very close. It's within a couple of hundred, or maybe 100, 150 yards of each building. So those 2 supervisors, and these are detective supervisors. They were out of the building instantaneously. They had the proper identification equipment on them so that when other officers respond to the scene, they know that they are investigators with our department. And remember, once they made entry into Building 2, they had to immediately determine who was a city worker escaping from the building and who could be the suspect. So there were a lot of different things that were happening simultaneously. Unlike when you see something like this in a choreographed TV or movie special, this is a very different environment. You cannot replicate the intensity of an environment such as this.
Last question is, do you anticipate people in the community who come to this building? This is a public building, like you said. They do business in this building. Do you anticipate they're going to be scared in the coming days and weeks?
Our job is to provide public safety to our residents, our visitors, our businesses, and we will ensure that they feel safe. As you heard, we can't answer a lot of these questions because investigation continues. We're still inside the first 24 hours. I can't speak enough about the courage that police and forensics are showing in that building with the carnage that exists in there and the work that they have done. And I can tell you that they are performing admirably with great courage, and that extends across all of the employees of Virginia Beach and those that are supporting us as we do the heavy lifting in these initial hours. We will keep you informed. Our public affairs team is very thorough and inclusive, and we will announce our next press conference very shortly. So thank you very much for being here.
We're gonna do that right now.
Okay.
Since we began the press briefings, we continually mention that we must keep the dignity and respect of the victims first and foremost. And all the questions that I've received up to this point, I particularly want to thank the members of the media for understanding that and for keeping their dignity and their respect first and foremost in everything that you've been talking about.
Can we get copies of the photos of the victims that you showed today? Can we get that digitally?
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all being here. We anticipate having another press conference this afternoon, same place at 3 o'clock. We'll be available to speak with you about obtaining copies of those right now. We can speak to you.
Oh, we'll take care of that.
We'll take care of that right now.
We'll just wrap this up and then we'll deal with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Mayor.
everyone.
Mayor. Council members. Very much. Appreciate you being here. Thanks, Jessica, Michael. Appreciate it. Sabrina, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks, Senator. Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks, Pat. Carl. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Thomas. Mark. Bill. Hey. Get Mayor. Would you go through Julie? please.
You're looking for the mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.